All right, Shannon, we are live.
All right. Let me just stop sharing my screen. Welcome everyone tonight to the virtual event featuring Barefoot Wines. My name is Shannon and I'm a part of the New Hampshire Liquor and Wine Outlets social team. We've got a super special event for you tonight as part of the 90 Days Around the World promotion. So many of you have joined us before. We've gone all over the world, met some of the world's finest winemakers. We've met some of the world's greatest spirit distillers. Everything has just been so fun. Tonight, we're going to be traveling to Modesto, California to chat with the world's most awarded winemaker. Yes, the world's most awarded winemaker. So I am joined by a few experts tonight. We have Jennifer Wall, the head winemaker at Barefoot Cellars, as well as Scott Farney, the Barefoot Wines brand manager. We, of course, always have our friend Chad Gibson of New Hampshire Liquor and Wine Outlets Wines marketing team. Jennifer and Scott have a super exciting presentation to share with us tonight. I'm here to share any questions with them that you may have throughout the event. So please make sure to leave those comments in your comment section, whether it be on Zoom or Facebook. Chad's here to answer any questions regarding store inventory or availability. He also happens to be a Barefoot connoisseur. For those of you that have pre-registered tonight, we're actually going to be giving away a really cool prize, and I'm kind of jealous that I can't partake. It is going to be 10 jars of Blackberry Merlot sauce, and it's actually made with Barefoot Merlot wine, and it's super exclusive. You can't purchase it anywhere, so it's a really great prize to win tonight. We're going to be giving 10 of those away with 10 trivia questions. So be sure you're listening super closely to tonight's presentation for the chance to win. And we will select those winners with correct answers. So with that, I'll pass it off to you, Jennifer and Scott. What can you tell us about Barefoot Wines?
Well, thank you all so very much. This is great that you have us here for this call. We appreciate everyone dialing in. Jen is going to share a lot of history and some of what has made Barefoot the most award-winning wine brand and made Jen the most awarded winemaker in United States competitions. Jen has been the winemaker for Barefoot since 1995. She just celebrated her 25th harvest with Barefoot, dedicated to innovation and all things varietally correct, and making sure that there is a wine for everyone is Jen's passion. So with that, I'll hand it off to Jen. And I just wanted to, again, remind everyone that when we get to the trivia at the end of the presentation, we'll just be looking for your correct answers typed in down there in the chat. So Jen, take it away. I love your sweater. Your setup there looks amazing.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott. And thank you everyone for inviting Scott and me to join you today. We're very excited to be here. And normally I would be flying back to New Hampshire to join you in person. I've had the great honor of having that experience before, and it's a really wonderful time. So we're glad to be here with you virtually today. And like Scott mentioned, we are going to be exploring some of the Barefoot history. We're going to be talking about wine style. We're going to be walking through some wine and food or sparkling and food pairings. And we're going to end with a really fun Barefoot cocktail and some trivia. So it should be a really fantastic time. As Scott mentioned, we are going to be using the Zoom chat feature today. So feel free to go ahead and communicate with Scott directly in the Zoom chat box. Scott will be relaying any questions you may have during this next 45 minutes to an hour. He'll relay those questions to me, and we'll get all of your Barefoot questions asked right away. So let's get going. So we are going to start today with some Barefoot Bubbly Brut Cuvée, our most traditional Barefoot Bubbly in our California sparkling line of wines. It's California Champagne, in fact. And this is the most traditionally styled Barefoot Bubbly that we have. It's also the driest and the most versatile as it relates to wine and food pairings. So a great option to start this little party and get together. Love spending time with our virtual friends. So if you are tasting along, I know everybody got their tasting menu ahead of time and all the foods we're going to be pairing along today. Hopefully you have a bottle of Barefoot Bubbly Brut Cuvée, so we can have a little preliminary cheers to friends near and far. Thanks for joining, and thanks for getting barefoot and having a great time with us today. So like I mentioned, Barefoot Bubbly Brut Cuvée is super versatile as it relates to food. And so today I've actually just made some regular popcorn to pair with our Barefoot Bubbly. Barefoot Bubbly is great with appetizers, it's great with salads, it's great with entrees, and amazing with desserts as well. So if when in doubt, definitely pour Barefoot Bubbly Brut Cuvée, and it pairs with almost anything. All right, so let's talk about a little bit of Barefoot history as we're sipping our Barefoot Bubbly Brut Cuvée. So Barefoot actually has a fantastic and long history, and started actually 55 years ago in the garage of famous winemaker Davis Bynum. So he had a little wine area in his garage in Alameda County, and he made high-end Pinot Noirs, and he made wines that were blended wines, not varietal wines, which he called Barefoot. And he called them Barefoot and put the foot on the label in honor of the way grapes were originally stomped and wines were originally made. So really a tribute to old style winemaking. So that happened in 1965, 55 years ago. So in 1985, he was not utilizing the Barefoot wine brand anymore, and he sold the wine brand to a gentleman named Michael Houlihan, who, along with his partner Bonnie Harvey, relaunched the brand in 1986 and launched it with a Cabernet Sauvignon and a Sauvignon Blanc, both in the 1.5 size bottles, those double size bottles. And for them, the foot on the label wasn't a tribute to old style winemaking. It was all about kicking back and getting barefoot and having a great time. And that's really a lot of the imagery and messaging that we still utilize today. So that was 1986. 4 years later, Michael and Bonnie hired a gentleman named Randy Arnold. And Randy Arnold still works for Barefoot today. In fact, he just celebrated his 30-year anniversary last year. And he changed the way not only the industry or Barefoot went to market, but the industry as well. So he started partnering with nonprofit organizations, pouring wine and helping them raise money for their worthy causes through those events that they were pouring wine at. And he started this new way of going to market by making the world a better place through wine. And that was Randy Arnold 30 years ago. So congratulations and happy anniversary, Randy. And so what's really, really interesting is not only has Barefoot been making the world a better place through wine, the way that Randy changed the way we go to market has really evolved the way a lot of brands go to market, including non-alcohol based brands. So brands like Red Bull and Monster. So people who go out into the community and really just employ grassroots efforts. So people share their really fantastic experiences with their favorite brands, with their family and friends. And that's what Barefoot still does today. So that was 30 years ago. Hey, Scott, before we keep going, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do have one interesting question. I tell you this, Jen, every time we do this, someone gives us a question we haven't had before. So Barefoot is all around a great tasting and amazing priced brand. I love it. It is a great comment. And then we had a question just before that about our 3-liter packaging. That this particular person has been enjoying during COVID. And is our entire package recyclable?
Yeah, so the great news is that it is the exterior box of the 3-liter box, and we'll get into 3-liter in a little while, but the entire exterior box is made of cardboard, so that's certainly recyclable, and the interior is recyclable too. And depending where you live, I know a lot of people are on the call from New Hampshire, but some are not. In California, we have to separate those two items, the plastics and the cardboard, when we recycle, but they are recyclable. They are just recyclable separately.
Awesome. And there's a question, how long does our box wine last? And I can tell you the answer to that in my refrigerator is not long, but I know that's not exactly what they're asking, Jen. What do you propose for shelf life for the wines once they're open?
So we stand behind the 30-day guarantee that when you tap it or open up the box or the tap on the box, that the wine will absolutely stay fresh for 30 days. I've actually done my own testing where I have tapped a box, taken a glass of wine, and then held the box for a week and had a glass of wine the following week, and did this for 8 weeks in a row, and the wine was still extraordinarily fresh. So there is a 30-day freshness guarantee, but I am very comfortable with saying that it will be fresh quite a bit longer, because what happens is as you deplete the wine in the box, the bag collapses, so there's no oxygen exchange going on. So it does stay fresh for quite some time.
Outstanding. One more question before you move on with your presentation. Is bubbly a good choice for breakfast or brunch? I know the answer to this one too. I love it.
Well, absolutely. The answer is yes, yes, and yes. So bubbly is definitely, again, the most versatile option, particularly for brunches, particularly for breakfast. If you follow Barefoot on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see we do a lot of brunch and breakfast pairings with Barefoot Bubbly in particular. So absolutely, pancakes, waffles, French toast, all of those, eggs Benedict, all of those options are fantastic with bubbly. So we do sell Barefoot Bubbly to a lot of restaurants across the United States who uses Barefoot as the house pour for brunches, those unlimited mimosa bars and bubblies. So absolutely, answers yes.
And play around with different fruit juices too, right, Jen? Don't just stick to the traditional orange juice, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. The bubbly brunch bar or mimosa bar is a big idea, not only in restaurants, but at parties, at weddings, at bridal parties and that kind of thing. So absolutely, that's a fun way to make a party even more festive.
Outstanding. Well, you had left off telling us a little bit about Randy Arnold, so we'll jump into what's next from there, Jen.
Perfect, thank you. So Randy Arnold was hired 30 years ago, and then 25 years ago in 1995, I was hired as the Barefoot winemaker. And at that time, we were selling 4 different wines. We were selling the standard Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Sauvignon that was launched in 1986, but also Barefoot White Zinfandel and Barefoot Chardonnay. So we're gonna actually go ahead and open the Barefoot Chardonnay. Barefoot Chardonnay is a traditionally styled Chardonnay. However, it doesn't have an excessive amount of oak. So it's definitely more fruit driven, and that's on purpose because all of Barefoot wines are styled to be varietally correct, fruit forward, and food friendly. And that is so that the fruit is the hero in every single glass of wine. So until last year, Barefoot Chardonnay was the only white wine in the Barefoot wine portfolio that had any oak. And then last year, we did release the Barefoot Buttery Chardonnay, which we'll talk about in just a little while. And so now we have 2 white wines in our portfolio with just a little bit of oak. And the oak is there as a layer and a nuance and not as a style driver, so that the fruit, again, is always the hero and the varietal attributes are always detected in the aromas, the flavor, and the finish. So let's go ahead and taste our Barefoot Chardonnay. I love this wine. So this is one of the Barefoot wines that I enjoy most frequently at home. So as you can imagine, we have a lot of different Barefoot options in our portfolio. And it's really nice that there's one for me that rises to the top and I get to enjoy more often than other things. But I think that's because in our house, we really enjoy a lot of fresh vegetables and a lot of fish, and Barefoot Chardonnay goes really very well with both of those things. So just a really great food pairing. And also great not only with entrees, but appetizers. So today I have some triple cream cheese here to enjoy with the Barefoot Chardonnay. And what I like about the triple cream cheese, the tongue twister, with the Barefoot Chardonnay is the creaminess that really complements each other. So even though Barefoot Chardonnay doesn't have a lot of oak, it does have a lot of beautiful texture that comes from that secondary fermentation that makes it buttery and creamy. And but the oak doesn't bring those attributes. It's actually the winemaking process. Really a fantastic pairing. So if you are wondering what to serve with your cheese platter, Chardonnay is always going to be a great choice. All right, so we are going to keep moving along here. So that was 1995. And so 3 years later, in 1998, there was this big fear in the wine industry that there wasn't going to be enough sparkling wine or champagne to fill the needs of the Millennium celebration. So in 1998, we started producing Barefoot Bubbly 18 months before the Millennium celebration. We actually started with Barefoot Bubbly Extra Dry. And Barefoot Bubbly Extra Dry, like Barefoot Bubbly Brut Cuvée, is a Chardonnay champagne. It just has a little bit more residual sugar, a little bit sweeter. I wouldn't classify it as sweet, but it is sweeter than the Brut, which is the driest. And the nomenclature is a little bit confusing. So a lot of people think extra dry should be drier than the Brut, but it just simply isn't true. So when you're looking at sparkling wines on the shelf, be sure to realize that Brut's the driest, and then extra dry is typically the next level up as far as residual sugar and sweetness is concerned. So that was in 1998. So we have now 8 different Barefoot Bubblies in our portfolio. From sweet to dry, we have the Barefoot Bubbly Brut, which is the driest, and we have a Barefoot Bubbly Peach with natural peach flavors added to the sparkling wine. And that is the sweetest. And we have something for everyone in between, so that whatever you like, very dry, very sweet, we have something for you. Hey, Scott, do we have any more questions?
Yes, Jen, actually, how long is the Chardonnay aged for?
Yeah, so all of the Barefoot whites in particular are really designed to be what we call drinkable now. So from the time we pick the grapes in the vineyard at peak ripeness, which it can be anywhere in the August and September range of any vintage year, we start obviously processing. We go through the fermentation process, we go through the secondary fermentation process, and typically Chardonnay in particular will have in the bottle within 6 to 8 months. So what's really great about that is we still have that really fruit forward and expressive aromatics and flavor and finish. And because after that period of time, when you start bottling, particularly Chardonnays, 12, 14, 16 months after they come in, the vintage year, the fruit starts to fade, and then the oaks become a dominant factor in their aromas and flavors. So it's usually that period of time.
And do you have a different aging regimen for the new Barefoot Buttery style Chardonnay versus the original Chardonnay?
So they are actually both aged similarly, but we have different oak regimens, and we actually pick the grapes from different regions. So some of the grapes come from the Delta region, which is around the Sacramento region in California. So if you think about the state of California related to Sonoma County, Napa, and then the Delta region, it's kind of 3 counties over from the Pacific Ocean. But So we have grapes there, and we have grapes all the way down to the Great Central Valley, east of where we actually ferment our grapes. We have a piece of property there called Cowell Ranch, and a 3,500 acre ranch. Is beautiful, and it has its own microclimate. And we have a lot of grapes, a lot of Chardonnay grapes that grow there. And so, so when you look at the differentiation between Buttery Chardonnay and original Chardonnay, there's a lot of factors. So one is, where do you pick the grapes? When do you pick the grapes? And how do you process it? Oak regimens. And then also at the end, when we're blending, the Buttery Chardonnay actually has 96% Chardonnay, whereas the Barefoot Original Chardonnay in the blue bottle has 84%. So there's a lot of variables there, but the aging isn't one of them.
Awesome. Well, there's a couple of questions here. The chat is blowing up about Fruitscattos, and I know we're going to get there in just a minute. But Joe has actually said, I am not familiar with Fruitscatto. What is the makeup of these wines? And is this a term that Barefoot created? So I don't know if you want to address that right now, or if you want to get to that when you move on to tasting the peach Fruitscatto, but definitely interesting question there.
I will put a pin in that, because we are going to get there, and we are going to dive into Lake Fruitscatto in just about 3 or 4 minutes. So let me get through the timeline, and we'll talk about innovation. And then that's where we talk about Fruitscatto, because it is one of the most innovative topics and the fastest growing category in the wine industry today. So, but thank you for that, Scott. So we last talked about the introduction of Barefoot Bubbly in 1998. I'm going to fast forward to 2005, because in 2005, Michael and Bonnie decided to sell the Barefoot brand because they wanted to retire. That's such an important date, because that's when Barefoot became part of the E&J Gallo Winery, which is the largest family-owned winery in the entire world. So we've been a part of the E&J Gallo Winery for 16 years this month. And we're very so lucky, because we have the access to beautiful grapes, top of the line equipment, and everything we need to continue to make consistently styled and quality blends for Barefoot, which we're known for. So that was in 2005. And in 2006 was a very important year for Barefoot, because it was the first year that we launched a new product since the brand became part of the E&J Gallo Winery. And we decided to launch a Pinot Grigio. And it's really, really interesting, because we started talking about exploring the concept of Pinot Grigio, and people said, ho, 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 Barefoot should not get into the Pinot Grigio game. Pinot Grigios are from Italy. They're lean, they're austere, they're not fruit forward, they're not California style. And we said, thank you for your input, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it in a fruit forward way, a floral way, a Barefoot way, a California way. And now Barefoot Pinot Grigio is the #1 Pinot Grigio, not only in the United States, in Canada, and in the UK as well. So essentially the largest Pinot Grigio program in the world. So we are so thankful that we followed our intuition and our gut on that one. A couple years later, we introduced Barefoot Moscato. And Barefoot Moscato is so important, not only to the Barefoot brand, but it's really important to the entire industry. And that's because more new users come into the wine category through Barefoot Moscato than any other wine type out there. So not just into Barefoot, into the Barefoot brand, but into the wine category. So when we talk about people who are starting to be LDA, legal drinking age, they're turning 21, they're exploring wine, they're coming into the wine category through Barefoot Moscato. So that's such an important player in the entire wine industry. So we're so thankful that was added to our portfolio in 2008. Hey, Scott, what's the next question? I can see questions popping up.
There's a bunch of them now. We'll do, do you have any unoaked wines, any vegan wines?
Yeah, so those are great questions. So we have a lot of unoaked wines. The two wines I just mentioned, the Pinot Grigio, the Moscato, our Rosé, our Sauvignon Blanc is unoaked, our Riesling's unoaked. We have a pink Moscato that's unoaked, a red Moscato that's unoaked. So we have quite a few wines that don't enjoy any time on oak whatsoever. So if you are not an oak fan, we have lots of options for you. Additionally, all the wines that we put in our sparkling wine, our line of wines, those are also unoaked. So all 8 of the Barefoot Bubblies are unoaked. And then lastly, all of the spritzers are unoaked. We're going to talk about spritzers but we're not there yet in our history and our timeline. But so we have a lot of options that are not oaked.
And the sparkling mention is a great one, because who doesn't like bubbles, right? So,
right.
What percentage of the grapes for Barefoot are grown in our own versus purchased vineyards, Jen?
So that's a complicated question, because it varies by varietal type. So for example, most of the Barefoot Chardonnay that we grow or that we have in our Barefoot Chardonnay program, both the Buttery and the original, we grow in our own vineyards. We do have some growing partners in the Lodi grape growing region that grow some of our Merlot grapes, that grow some of our Petit Syrah and Petit Verdot grapes, which we use as what we call back blenders. Our Malbec program mostly comes from Lodi, and those are grower relations and grower agreements that we have. So there's a good mix of long-standing relationships and contracts with growers that we've been working with for years and years and years, and then also grapes that grow on our own property as well. So it's a good mix, but it's the majority of the grapes come from Gala-owned vineyards.
Would wine to go be a good way to try all of our wines from Bryn? The answer is it'd be a good way to try a lot of them, right, Jen? But we don't absolutely have everything in the wine to go packaging yet.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So some people are talking, so just so if you don't know, Wine to Go is a new packaging format that we released in 2019. It's 500 mils, so it's technically 3 glasses of wine, but if you have really big wine glasses, it's 2 glasses of wine. And I also like to share with everyone that if you try the Moscato Wine to Go, you can actually put it in your freezer and freeze it after 24 hours and cut it in half, and you can eat it like ice cream. It's fantastic. But yes, we have a lot of our Barefoot types in the Wine to Go containers, but not all of them. And we do not have any of our sparkling or spritzers in the Wine to Go. So it's still wine only, and it's our most popular types, of course.
We do have all of our 187s for everyone listening. Those are in a screw cap Tetra, which we have a whole array of varietals available in those that you can find. How about any liquors? Love the wines to go. Beach drinking is great. Well, we do have some liquors from the Gallo portfolio, but none under the Barefoot name, Tracy. So you'd have to look to some other things for the spirits. But if you do go and follow at Barefoot Jen on Instagram, or again to barefootwine.com, Jen has, oh my goodness, dozens and dozens of amazing cocktails where the base liquid are her Barefoot wines and her Barefoot sparkling wines, and they're spectacular cocktail recipes. So that is all of the questions right now, Jen, but lots of really good comments. So
that's Jen, fantastic. I have to say, amazing tidbit on cutting that the to-go in half and eat. I am definitely taking you up on that. So any other of those types of tidbits and tricks, please share along.
Yes, absolutely. I love those kind of things. It's so much fun to share. And Moscato is the only one I would recommend, because the other ones are too dry. Because when you get that cold, the perception of the city goes really to a level that you wouldn't expect it to, but with all the residual sugar naturally in the Moscato, it's perfect. So yeah, let me know what you think about that.
But you can take the rosé, the Barefoot rosé, Shannon, you can take that halfway there and it makes an absolutely incredible slushy.
That's true.
It's a frosé.
You sound like amazing beach treats, and
yes,
I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly. So we're almost done with our timeline. In 2015, Barefoot took a huge risk and a foray into a really unknown innovation world and an area in wine. And we started putting these spritzer wines in cans. And these have been super, super popular. They're 250 mils. These are gluten-free. I know, Scott, earlier you asked about being vegan, and we don't have any wines in the Barefoot portfolio that we classify as vegan, but we do have these products that we do have a gluten-free claim on, which is fantastic. I know they're different things, but I wanted to point that out. So that was 2015. And then in 2019, we talked about the wine to go in 500 ml cans. And then we released the 3-liter boxes and the Barefoot's Buttery as well. So super excited about the 3 liters, like the to-go, the 500 ml to-go boxes or containers. All of our most popular still wine flavors are available in the 3-liter boxes. So we're really excited that people can just have it on their counter or in the refrigerator and have a glass whenever they want and not have to open up an entire bottle. But we do have single serves as well if you just want to open one single bottle. So either way you want to go, if you want to go with the big box or the single bottles, we have something for you. And like Scott and I like to always say is we have something for everyone. So if you like dry or sweet or red or white or sparkling or still, whatever you like small bottles or big boxes, we're going to have it because it's our job to make sure that we are constantly innovating, to make sure that we are bringing whatever format and flavor that you might want to a store near you. So that's very, very important. So let's jump into 2020 because we've just talked about 55 years of history, a lot of new things. And as we start talking about 2020, I'm going to open up, I'm going to open up our Fruitscatto, which I skipped completely over because we launched that in 2019. And Fruitscatto is super, super exciting. Fruitscatto is a trademark name, as somebody asked earlier. It's a blend of Barefoot wine and natural fruit flavors. And so we currently offer 6 delicious flavors, which are apple, peach, strawberry, watermelon, mango, and blueberry. The mango and blueberry are going to be released nationally on February 1. So we're really excited about that. Available in 750 and 1.5 sizes. And these products are taking the country by storm. People are so excited. So we talked earlier about people coming into wine and coming into Barefoot through regular Moscato. People are also coming into wine, coming into Barefoot through fruit Moscatos. And those people who haven't been around wine for a long time or haven't been exposed to it as they were growing up and now they're 21, people are less intimidated by fruit terms than wine varietals. So it's a really great introduction, but the great thing is these wines are so beautifully balanced that it's not just a new wine consumer's wine. People who love wines in general and who are sophisticated wine drinkers will continue to love Fruitscattos. And I have a wine pairing for you as well. So let's go ahead and taste the Barefoot Fruitscatto. This is the peach. Peach is our #1 flavor in the Fruitscatto sub portfolio. And just really beautiful, authentic and natural aromas and flavors. And we do have a little bit of CO2 on the palate. We call that our Barefoot Signature Spritz. And that's intentional to lift their aromas, lift the flavors, make the wines taste bright and lively on the palate and be perfectly balanced so you can enjoy a glass or two and not think that it tastes too sweet. So the CO2 is that magic lift that winemakers love to make sure that wines are always perfectly balanced. So today, with the Fruitscatto, I actually have a really interesting pairing here. So this is a peach salsa and I'm gonna use a chip with that. So, so good. All right. So one of the tricks with food and wine pairing is that when you're going to pair a wine that has a little bit of residual sugar, like this peach Fruitscatto does, you want to either go sweet and sweet or sweet and spicy. So this time I went sweet and spicy. So this peach salsa has a little bit of heat to it. And what's really nice is when you taste the salsa and then take a sip of the wine, everything on your mouth, in your mouth and on your palate comes together. And the sweetness of the wine just balances out that heat right in your mouth. And it just tastes lovely together. So a really, really fun tasting and fun pairing. All right, so we're talking about 2020 next. But before we talk about 2020, I'm going to open up our Barefoot Merlot. So Barefoot Merlot is the second most popular red wine in the Barefoot portfolio. And number one is Barefoot Cab, the one that was released in 1986 by Michael Houlihan, the original varietal, if you will, launched. But I am opening the Barefoot Merlot for a very, very particular reason. And I think you'll enjoy why I'm opening this bottle instead of the Cabernet Sauvignon. So Barefoot Merlot was one of the first varietals that I added to the portfolio. And when I started winemaking for Barefoot, so very many years ago, long, long time ago. And in fact, I'll give you a little trivia about Barefoot Merlot. It was actually first brought into the Barefoot portfolio and into our Barefoot lives from France. So there was a shortage of Merlot and I wanted to add Merlot to the Barefoot portfolio. So I brought in containers of Merlot from Corsica and bottled and blended it here and bottled Barefoot Merlot for the first time. So it's all, of course, California now, but at the time, way back then in 1996, it came from Corsica. So Barefoot Merlot is known for having deep, concentrated berry aromatics. It has beautiful flavor, beautiful texture, nice lingering finish, has really a smooth finish, and also has a distinct mocha finish, which I absolutely love. And it's been the trademark or signature attribute for Barefoot Merlot since I added it to the portfolio. So today, for a pairing, and I have here some chocolate brownies with a little bit of cream on the top. And I have here some Sonoma sauces, Blackberry Merlot sauce. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So why am I pouring Sonoma sauces, Blackberry Merlot sauce on top of this brownie? Because this product here is made using Barefoot Merlot. So this is the prize that Scott will be sending you when we play trivia in a couple of minutes. It is sold on Uncommon Goods and Williams Sonoma pop-ups only. So it's very hard to find, but I love it. It's beautiful when you enjoy it with Barefoot Merlot and on top of brownies and ice cream and glazes and for meats. And it's just a fantastic product. So for those of you who like to play trivia and you get to win, or that you do win, you will get a jar of that. Scott, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. Do you have any recipes that involve freezing the Moscatos yet? Have you done any frosés or frozen type drinks with the Moscatos or the Fruitscattos?
Yeah, you know, I haven't. I'm hesitating because what I've done is I actually use ice cube trays, and I make ice cubes out of the Moscato, and then I pour Moscato over the ice cubes made with Moscato, so that there's no dilution. And so when you pour a Moscato, even a chilled Moscato or any white wine, over an ice cube, which a lot of people say, oh, I would never want to do that, but it's actually tremendous when the ice cube is made of that same wine. And then there's no risk of diluting as the ice cube melts, and then your wine just stays perfectly chilled as it melts. So that's one of the tricks that I do. And then I've also used those same frozen ice cubes made out of wine and then blended them up and made margaritas. So I've done that as well. As far as like customized popsicles or anything like that, I haven't done that.
And then also one of the tricks that you had shared with me over the summer was to actually freeze your fruit. So if you're having strawberry Fruitscatto, freeze a bowl of strawberries and use those instead of ice cubes. Yeah. I would imagine you would do the same thing with peach slices or blueberries, right? For the other ones?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep.
And then I also use frozen fruit and Moscatos to make margaritas all the time too. So instead of ice cubes, so it's just that really concentrated fruit intensity, which is really fantastic.
Awesome. And we did have a question about the alcohol content, but Chad typed it in right after it was asked. So
perfect.
Yep. Perfect. So I think we're caught up on questions right now.
Fantastic.
Kind of keep rolling.
So we're going to go into 2020 because 2020 was a really important year. It was the year that we released our first ever Pride packaging. Now, this is just one of the 4 designs that we have for the Barefoot Pride package. We have Pride Spritzers, which is Barefoot's Rosé Spritzer, and we have Barefoot Pride package, which is Brut Rosé. So the same wine that's in the Brut Rosé package is in the Barefoot Pride package, the 2020 limited edition. And we were so excited to release this last year, the same year that Randy Arnold, our Barefoot brand ambassador, the one who started to make the world a better place through wine, celebrated his 30-year anniversary because he takes the personal claim of being the first out gay wine sales rep in California, and I think he's accurate about that. And so it was just the perfect time to release these beautiful, beautiful Pride packages. And I do want to mention that this was the wine, or the sparkling wine, that was used in Times Square this year with a New Year's Eve ball drop and toast. We popped Barefoot Bubbly, Pride Bubbly, and did the formal toast to the new year with this product. And it was the 5th year that we're celebrating the partnership with the New York Times Alliance. So that was a pretty special thing as well. So the next thing I wanted to do with you is go ahead and make a cocktail. So we do make a lot of cocktails, and Scott mentioned that I post a lot of the cocktails on my Instagram, which is @BarefootJen. Barefoot Wine also posts recipes on @BarefootWine. We have a Barefoot Wine Facebook page, but we also have a traditional website, which is barefootwine.com, and we have thousands and thousands of recipes in our recipe finder. So we have cocktail recipes, bubbly recipes, wine recipes, and we also have food recipes that incorporate wine and bubbly into the food items as well. So I encourage you to go explore through that and see what you can find with your favorite wine or bubbly, because we do have recipes for every single wine and bubbly type that we make. So one of the recipes that I created last year, and I probably shared it on a good 50 or 60 Zooms over the course of last year, was a variation of what we call a variation of the Greyhound, which we call the Pink Poodle. And the Greyhound, as you know, is a vodka and grapefruit cocktail, which has been famous for years and years. And this does also have vodka and grapefruit juice, but we top it with the Barefoot Pride Bubbly or the Barefoot Brut Rosé. Either they're both the same as I mentioned. But what we do is rather than using regular traditional vodka, we use this New Amsterdam Pink Whitney pink lemonade vodka, which is absolutely delicious. And it's my favorite cocktail blending item out there. So I have here a cocktail shaker, and I'm going to put about 2 ounces of the Pink Whitney vodka in my shaker. And then I'm going to add some pink grapefruit juice. I'm going to get it nice and cold. And I'll tell you, I poured this for so many people and shared this recipe with thousands of people, and everyone loves it. So I encourage everyone to go get the ingredients. I know that you can get the Pink Whitney at the New Hampshire Liquor Control Board as well. So, so we're going to pour it into this extra large size martini glass. And then we're just going to top it with a little bit of Barefoot Pride Bubbly. We'll call it a champagne float. And then of course we have to garnish it. And it's really just beautiful and festive. I love it. So delicious. Very refreshing, and just the citrus is just fantastic in this. So I think we're ready to go into trivia, Scott, unless there's another question that we can answer.
We are ready for some trivia. I will just remind everyone that as Jen asks the questions, type your answer in the chat, and Shannon and I will do our level best, but the first person with the correct answer typed into the chat will be the winner. And then all I'm going to ask is I'm going to need to get everyone's address so they win. And I'm not sure how we'll do that, but Shannon, maybe you'll be able to collect that for me and email it to me?
Yeah, absolutely. So if as long as we can just keep track of everyone's names, I can figure out the email addresses through the Zoom window.
Super. So yeah, but before we go into that, Jen, just lots and lots of comments about how well your sweater matches the Pride bottle. And everyone was wondering if that was intentional today.
It was not.
Well, Randy is a very good friend of mine and a very good friend of Jen's as well. And you know, Pride comes near and dear to all of us. You know, when Randy was hired by our founders, they had asked Randy if he was afraid of being, if he was afraid that Barefoot would become the gay wine, and his answer was, I would be terrified if it didn't. And so for decades now, there were some questions in here, Jen, and that's why I'm kind of touching on it a little bit. For decades now, we have supported nonprofits and we have supported LGBTQ. And yes, we do proceeds from the bottle sales go to an organization called Free Mom Hugs and other LGBTQ nonprofits around the country. So it's a spectacular initiative that Randy and Jen came up with. And of course, the product inside the bottle is delicious. So I'm so happy, Jen, that you highlighted that package tonight. So yeah, we are ready to go with trivia. So okay. I'll start watching the chat, and when there's a correct answer, I'll call it out, and we'll move on to the next question.
Fantastic. And I do want to just remind everyone that what everyone's going to be getting is this Sonoma sauces, Blackberry Merlot sauce. My friend Jen Carson makes them, and I think that you'll be thrilled when you get it. So here we go. So the first question, so we're going to go do 10 questions. So the first question is this: who originally founded Barefoot in 1965?
We got it.
Perfect. That was quick.
Mary Watts, David Spinum.
Perfect. All right. So what 4 varietals were being produced by Barefoot in 1995 when I was hired at Barefoot?
Type them all together in one answer. Boom, we got it.
All right.
Yep, Paul has it right there.
Good job, Paul. All right. What varietal is used? What variety of grape is used to make Barefoot Bubbly Brut Cuvée?
Chardonnay, got that one. Joanne.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So which Barefoot white wine was the first wine to experience any oak in the winemaking process?
Ellen. Ellen got the right answer there.
Perfect. All right.
That one went flying past really fast. We got a lot of right answers on that one.
Yeah. So what Barefoot program is the biggest in the world?
Yes, Janet with, oh no, I'm sorry. Laura had the Pinot Grigio first.
Perfect. All right. What format was Barefoot Buttery launched in?
Three-liter box. That is correct, Paul.
You guys are great. You're really great. Okay, this is a tough one. Name all 6 Fruitscatto types.
All in one answer. We got it.
Fantastic.
Danielle or Daniel, I think. Yep.
Will you go ahead and read them for our viewers on Facebook?
Yes. Strawberry, peach, apple, watermelon, and then the 2 new ones, blueberry and mango.
Perfect. Good job. All right. Here's the next question. Which Barefoot Bubbly is in the new Pride package? Which Barefoot Bubbly is in this package?
Rosé.
Perfect. And I think this is the last one, Scott.
I'm gonna hang on a minute. I have to scroll. It was Teresa there, Shannon, who I believe was the first one with rosé. Okay, Jen. Yep.
Okay, so the last question is, which Barefoot is the #1 red wine in our portfolio?
Cabernet. Karen Newman with the correct answer.
Fantastic. Congratulations, winners. I do have one final toast to all of you. One thing that I didn't mention to you all today is, in addition to being the biggest bottled wine brand in the world, Barefoot is actually the most highly awarded still and sparkling wine brand in US competitions. And it has been for well over 15 years. And in fact, we just recently validated a claim that says that we won over 10,000 awards in the last 10 years. And many of these competitions are regardless of price point. So Barefoot's always a great value, and we love that. And I'm going to actually be making a special toast to you with this sparkling wine. This is our Barefoot Bubbly Pink Poodle. And last year in the 2020 wine competition, this wine received a very, very special award at the New World International Wine Competition. And it was awarded not only a double gold, a best of class, a best of show, but it was also given a perfect score of 100 points, which is a very rare score to get in the industry at all. And I'll share with you how rare it is. The E&J Gallo Winery was founded in 1933. So since 1933, wines in their portfolio have only received 2 100-point scores. So one was a premium, expensive, allocated lot 1, which is fantastic and delicious. And that was several years ago. And then Barefoot Bubbly Pink Moscato. So we're so excited and so honored to get this award. And so I always love to use this very special bubbly to make my final toast to all of you. Thank you for spending the last hour with us. Thank you for getting barefoot and having a great time. Cheers to you in 2021. Thanks for your friendship and have a great rest of your day. Bye.
That's incredible, Jen. Thank you very much. 100 points. And for some of the people that might not know how a double gold award is given away, we all know how hard it is to get everyone in a room if there's only 2 of us to even agree on something. But a double gold is not only was it the highest scoring wine in that particular type, but every single one of the judges score it as the highest in that particular type. And so in a sparkling wine competition, to get virtually every single judge to rate it #1 and to give it gold is spectacular. Thank you, Shannon and everyone, for having us tonight. We just absolutely love sharing the Barefoot story. Jen, you're amazing. Thank you so very much for the amazing setup and all of the history and gosh, a lot of really good questions were answered tonight. So I hope everybody will go on out there and get barefoot and have a great time.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
I am going to talk a little bit about our 90 Days Around the World promotion, which is like the event tonight, which has been so great. Thank you so much, Jen and Scott. This has been so much fun. Learned some new tidbits for myself to use at home. So I'm very excited about that. So for those of you that are playing along for our 90 Days Around the World passport program, we're basically offering everyone the chance to win some really great prizes, including a $2,500 gift card to the New Hampshire Liquor and Wine outlets. In addition to that, there's also an $1,000 gift card, as well as a little bit or a couple smaller options as well, but all really great options to win. So entering for a chance to win is super simple. You just need to head to your app store. The name of the app is Scavify. You want to get that. It's SCAVIFY. Download that. And you're going to earn points for every event that you join with us. And no, you don't technically need to join with us on the night of the event. So you can actually watch all of the replays of all of our events since we started in November. So if you haven't started playing yet, you can still earn the points that you need to win. So keep that in mind. For those of you that are already playing, the code word for tonight is Seltzers. Again, that code word is Seltzers. So the more points you earn, the bigger the prizes that you'll be entered to win. So keep that in mind. Go ahead and get that Scavify app and start playing. And again, thank you so much, Jen and Scott. This has been so much fun. And if everyone has enjoyed tonight's event as much as I have, make sure you head to the 90daysaroundtheworld.com website to check out some of the future events that we have coming up. We have a couple more weeks of our promotion, so definitely take a look at some of our upcoming events. Monday night, we're actually going to be joined by Dave Guffey, the Director of Winemaking for Hess Collection Wines. So that will also be a fun event. So make sure you pre-register so you can win some cool prizes like tonight's Merlot sauce. All right. Thank you everyone so much for joining, and have a great weekend and a great night.
Thanks for having us, everybody. See you later.
Thank you.